She died with a knife in her chest, then woke up alive while her killers lay dead. Desperate and hunted, she begged an ancient vampire king for protection, not knowing her strange curse had just chained their lives together forever. The silver knife entered Mina's chest before she could scream. She dropped the feather duster, her fingers clutching at the blade protruding from her ribs. The intruder, a man in a black mask, twisted it once, then let go. Mina collapsed onto the marble floor of Lord Harrington's study, her blood pooling around scattered papers and an overturned inkwell. "Check the safe," a second voice whispered. 30 seconds. Mina's vision blurred. The pain was everything, hot, sharp, radiating through her chest like fire. She tried to breathe, but her lungs wouldn't fill. Her thoughts fragmented. "I'm 23 years old. I've never been anywhere. I've never done anything." The room tilted. Darkness crept in from the edges. Then nothing. Absolutely nothing. For 3 heartbeats, Mina felt the absence of everything. No pain, no fear, no self. Just a vast, cold void that swallowed her whole. Then her eyes snapped open. She gasped, air flooding her lungs in a violent rush. The pain was gone. Completely gone. Mina sat up, her hands flying to her chest, but there was no wound. No blood on her white servant's blouse. Just the memory of dying, so vivid it made her stomach turn. But there was blood. The first intruder lay 3 feet away, his body twisted at an impossible angle. His neck was bent backward, bones jutting through skin. His eyes were still open, frozen in terror. The second intruder had collapsed by the safe. His chest was caved in, ribs shattered inward as if crushed by an invisible fist. Blood trickled from his mouth, already congealing. Mina scrambled backward, her shoulders hitting the desk.
No, no, no.
She looked down at herself.
No wounds.
Not even a scratch. But she remembered dying. She remembered the blade sliding between her ribs, remembered her heartbeat stuttering to a stop. What happened? The study door burst open. 2 of Lord Harrington's guards rushed in, torches raised. They froze when they saw the bodies. "Sweet mercy," one breathed. The other guard's eyes locked on Mina. She was still on the floor, hands pressed against her chest, surrounded by corpses and blood. His face hardened. "What did you do?" "Nothing. I didn't. They stabbed me. I was dying and then—" "She killed them," the first guard said, his voice rising. "Look at her. Not a scratch on her." "I died." Mina's voice cracked. "I felt myself die." The guards exchanged glances. One raised his torch higher, illuminating the grotesque angles of the intruders' bodies. "No one could do that with their bare hands." "Witchcraft," the other whispered. That single word changed everything. Mina saw it in their eyes, the shift from confusion to fear to accusation. In New Haven, accusations of witchcraft meant trial by fire. It meant confession through torture. It meant death, but the slow kind. "I'm not a witch," Mina said, but her voice was too quiet, too desperate. The first guard drew his sword. "Don't move." Mina didn't think. She grabbed the fallen duster and hurled it at the torch, then bolted for the window. Behind her, the guard shouted. She heard boots pounding on marble, heard the hiss of a blade leaving its sheath. The window was already cracked open. Lord Harrington always complained about the stuffiness of his study. Mina shoved it wider and threw herself through, not caring about the 10-foot drop to the garden below. She landed hard on her shoulder, the impact knocking the wind from her lungs. For a terrifying moment, she thought she'd broken something. But she rolled to her feet, adrenaline drowning out the pain, and ran. The manor gardens blurred past her, perfectly trimmed hedges, marble fountains, rose bushes that tore at her skirt. She heard shouts behind her, saw more torches lighting up in the manor windows. They'd raise the whole house. They'd raise the whole town. Mina hit the iron gates at full speed, squeezing through a gap meant for servants' deliveries. She emerged onto Ashwood Street, her breath coming in ragged gasps. Left or right? The constable's station was to the left. The church was straight ahead, but Father Morrison would turn her in without hesitation. He'd been preaching about the devil's servants for months.
Right then, toward the forest.
She ran past darkened shops and sleeping houses, her footsteps echoing on cobblestones. Somewhere behind her, a bell began to toll, the manor's alarm. In minutes, the night watch would be combing the streets. The town ended abruptly at Willow Road, where the manicured lawns gave way to wild grass and gnarled trees. Mina plunged into the forest, without hesitation. Branches whipped at her face. Roots tried to trip her. But she didn't slow down. I died. I felt myself die. And they died instead. The thought chased her deeper into the darkness. What was she? What had happened in that study? Behind her, dogs began to bark. Mina's lungs burned, her legs screamed for rest, but terror kept her moving. The forest grew denser, older. These trees had stood for centuries, their trunks thick as houses. She'd heard stories about these woods, about travelers who went in and never came out, about things that hunted in the dark. Right now, she'd take her chances with forest monsters over human justice. She stumbled into a clearing and stopped, wheezing. In the center stood a stone structure, half buried in earth and overgrown with moss. It looked like a mausoleum, ancient and forgotten. The iron door hung slightly ajar. The baying of hounds grew louder. Mina ran to the mausoleum and squeezed through the gap in the door. Inside was pure darkness and the smell of old stone. She pressed herself against the wall, trying to quiet her breathing. Outside, she heard men's voices. Torchlight flickered through the crack in the door. "Tracks end here," someone said. "Check the tomb." Mina's heart hammered. There was nowhere to hide. The mausoleum was just one small chamber with a massive stone coffin in the center. She pressed herself into the darkest corner, knowing it wouldn't matter when they brought their torches inside. Her hand, braced against the wall for balance, slipped. She looked down and saw blood on her palm. She must have cut it on the iron gate. A single drop fell from her finger, landing on the stone coffin with a soft plink. The temperature plummeted. Mina's breath misted in front of her face. The voices outside grew muffled, distant, as if she'd been plunged underwater. Frost crept across the stone coffin, spreading from where her blood had fallen. The coffin lid moved. It slid aside with a grinding sound that seemed to shake the earth itself. Inside, a figure sat up slowly, deliberately. Even in the darkness, Mina could see his eyes, brilliant amber, glowing like molten gold. The figure turned his head toward her. "Well," said a voice like silk over steel. "This is unexpected." The mausoleum door burst open. Guards flooded in with torches, and their light revealed everything: the ancient coffin, the frost spreading across the floor, and the pale figure now standing beside it. He was tall and aristocratic, dressed in clothes from another era. His hair was dark, his features sharp, and when he smiled at the guards, Mina saw fangs. "Gentlemen," the vampire said pleasantly, "you've woken me for the first time in 200 years. I do hope you have a good reason." The guard screamed. The first guard didn't even have time to raise his sword. The vampire moved like smoke. One moment standing by the coffin, the next behind the man, hand wrapped around his throat. There was a sickening crack, and the guard crumpled. "Run!" the second guard screamed, shoving his companions toward the door. They didn't make it. The vampire was faster than thought itself. He caught one by the collar and threw him into the stone wall with enough force to leave cracks. Another tried to swing his torch like a weapon. The vampire caught his wrist mid-swing and twisted. The man's scream cut off abruptly. In 15 seconds, all 5 guards lay motionless on the frost-covered floor. Mina pressed herself against the wall, unable to breathe, unable to move. The vampire stood in the center of the carnage, not even breathing hard. He brushed dust from his velvet coat, a deep burgundy that looked black in the torchlight, and turned those amber eyes on her. "Now," he said softly, "let's discuss why you've disturbed my rest." "I didn't mean to," Mina's voice failed. She tried again. "I was hiding."
They were chasing me. I didn't know anyone was.
Your blood woke me. He moved closer, each step deliberate. Old magic sealed this tomb. Only blood spilled by fear or death could break it. His head tilted, studying her like a specimen under glass. Which was it? I cut my hand on the gate. I was running. Yes, I gathered that he stopped 3 feet away. Up close, his features were almost painfully beautiful, the kind of beauty that didn't look quite human. What are you running from? You smell like a servant. Servants don't usually warrant hunting parties. They think I killed 2 men, the words tumbled out. But I didn't. They killed me. They stabbed me and I died, and then they were dead instead and I wasn't, and the vampire's expression changed. The casual amusement vanished, replaced by sharp interest. Show me your wound. There isn't one. That's the problem. Show me where you were stabbed. With trembling hands, Mina pulled aside the torn collar of her blouse, revealing unmarked skin over her heart.
Here.
I felt the blade. I felt myself die. Then I woke up, and they were dead, and I was fine. The vampire stared at the unblemished skin for a long moment. Then he laughed, a cold, delighted sound that echoed off the stone walls. Extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary. What's extraordinary? What happened to me? You, my dear, are broken. He circled her slowly, like a wolf studying prey. Something is wrong with your soul. Very, very wrong. He paused behind her, close enough that she could feel cold radiating from him like winter air. Tell me, have you always been this way?
No.
I was normal until tonight. I've worked at Harrington Manor for 3 years. I've never, nothing like this is ever. He completed his circle, facing her again. Then something triggered it, activated it. His eyes narrowed. You're not a witch. You don't have the stink of magic about you. This is something older. Something in your blood. More shouts echoed from outside the mausoleum, distant, but growing closer. The dogs had found the scent again. The vampire glanced toward the door, unconcerned. Your hunters are persistent. Please, Mina dropped to her knees, desperation overriding fear. Please hide me. I don't know what's happening to me, but they'll burn me alive if they catch me. They'll call me a witch, and why should I help you? The question was curious, not cruel. I've been asleep for 2 centuries. I wake to find my tomb violated, my seal broken, and a cursed girl bringing hunters to my door. Give me one reason not to simply kill you and return to my rest. Minax mindracet. What could she offer a vampire? Money? She had none. Power? She was a maid. Her life? He could take that whenever he wanted. Then she remembered the guards. How they died without a mark on them, just like the intruders. Because I'm cursed, she said quickly. You said so yourself. Something's wrong with me. Aren't you curious? Don't you want to know what I am? The vampire's smile returned, sharp and dangerous. Clever girl. Yes, I am curious. Curiosity is one of the few things that survives immortality. He extended a pale hand. I am Arcturus Blackwell, once called the Vampire King of the Eastern Territories. And you are?
Mina.
Mina Cross. Well, Mina Cross, I'll make you a deal. His amber eyes gleamed in the torchlight. I'll hide you from your hunters. I'll help you understand what you've become. But in exchange, you will obey me.
Completely.
Without question. Your survival is no longer your own concern, it's mine. The shouts were closer now. Mina could hear men organizing, spreading out to search the forest systematically. Do we have an accord?
Arcturus asked.
Mina took his hand. His skin was cold as marble. Yes. Excellent. He pulled her to her feet with inhuman strength, then reached into the coffin and retrieved something, a long black cloak that smelled of dust and old roses. He draped it over her shoulders. This will hide your scent from the dogs. Now stay close and stay silent. We have a long walk ahead of us. Where are we going? Arcturus smiled, and this time it looked almost kind. Almost. Somewhere your hunters won't dare follow. Somewhere I can test exactly what you've become. He led her to the back of the mausoleum, where shadows seemed to gather unnaturally thick. With a gesture, a section of wall swung inward, revealing a tunnel descending into darkness. After you, Miss Cross. Your old life ends here. Mina looked back once at the bodies of the guards, at the torchlight filtering through the door, at everything she'd known. Then she stepped into the dark. The tunnel led down for what felt like miles, spiraling deeper into the earth until Mina lost all sense of direction. Arcturus moved through the darkness without hesitation, never stumbling, never slowing. Mina clung to the back of his cloak, her free hand trailing along the damp stone wall. Finally, the tunnel opened into a vast chamber. Arcturus gestured, and candles burst to life along the walls, dozens of them, revealing a space that had once been grand. Faded tapestries hung between stone pillars. Ancient furniture sat beneath layers of dust. A four-poster bed stood in one corner, its curtains rotted to tatters. My secondary crypt, Arcturus explained, shrugging off his coat. I maintained several in case one was discovered. This one hasn't been touched in 300 years. He draped his coat over a chair that promptly collapsed beneath its weight. Perhaps longer. Mina stood near the tunnel entrance, hugging herself. The adrenaline was fading, leaving her shaky and cold. What happens now? Now we test my theory. Arcturus moved to a cabinet and withdrew a crystal decanter filled with dark red liquid. He poured himself a glass, took a sip, and grimaced. Dreadful. Blood should never be stored this long, he set it aside. Tell me everything about tonight. Every detail. Start from the beginning. Mina recounted the evening, cleaning Lord Harrington's study, the intruders breaking in, the knife entering her chest. As she spoke, Arcturus listened with absolute focus, those amber eyes never leaving her face. And you felt yourself die, he said when she finished. Not pass out. Not faint.
Yes.
Everything stopped. It was like falling into nothing. Fascinating, he set down his glass and approached her. I'm going to try something. Don't be alarmed. What are you? His hand shot out, claws extending, and slashed across her throat. Mina's scream died in a gurgle. She felt her windpipe open, felt blood spray hot across her skin. The world tilted. Her knees buckled. That same horrible void opened beneath her, cold, absolute, swallowing her whole. I'm dead. I'm dead again. Then she gasped. Her eyes flew open. She was on her knees, hands clutching her throat, but the skin was smooth, unbroken.
No wound.
No blood. Just the phantom memory of dying. You killed me, she shrieked at Arcturus. He wasn't listening. He was staring at something behind her, his expression stunned. Mina turned. A bat lay on the stone floor, its small body twisted and broken.
Dead. Impossible. Arcturus breathed.
He knelt beside the bat, examining it with careful fingers. Its neck is slashed. The exact wound I gave you. He looked up at her, and for the first time, she saw genuine shock on his face. Your death transferred. Completely.
What?
Mina's voice shook. You died. Truly died. Your soul began to leave your body. He stood, pacing now, his movements agitated. But something, some curse, some magic, grabbed the nearest living thing and forced it to die instead. The bat took your death. Your wound. Your fate. Mina stared at the small corpse. I killed it. You didn't choose to. That's the crucial detail. Arcturus circled the bat, his mind clearly racing. This isn't ordinary magic. This is ancient. Primal. Someone bound this curse to your bloodline, probably generations ago. He stopped, facing her. You're a death host. A what? A living anchor for death itself. Every time you die, death claims the nearest substitute. His voice grew quieter, more dangerous. Do you understand what this means, Mina? You cannot be killed.
Not permanently.
Not as long as there's another life nearby to take your place. The implications crashed over her like a wave. The intruders. They killed me, so death took them instead. Yes, and that bat. Died because I killed you, and it was closest. Arcturus resumed pacing. In a crowded city, you could walk through a massacre unscathed while bodies dropped around you. In a battle, you'd be the only survivor. He laughed, sharp and bitter. Someone created the perfect immortal soldier. Mina felt sick. I don't want this. I never asked for this. Curses rarely care what we want. He stopped in front of her. But here's your real problem, Miss Cross. Now that I know what you are, I cannot let you leave. Fear spiked through her. You said you'd help me. And I will. But consider, you're a weapon of unimaginable value. Humans will hunt you to weaponize you. Other vampires will kill you to prevent that. And you, he gestured at her, have no control over it whatsoever. You're a walking catastrophe. Then help me control it. Mina's desperation bled into anger. You said you were curious.
You said you wanted to know what I am.
Well, now you know. So either help me or kill me, but stop threatening me. Arcturus studied her for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, he smiled. You have more spine than I credited. Very well. I'll teach you what I can. He moved to the ancient desk, brushing off dust. But understand this. Your curse makes you valuable, and valuable things are never truly free. Others will come for you. Powerful others. The hunters are the least of your worries. He pulled open a drawer, revealing old journals and scrolls. I need to research your condition. In the meantime, you should rest. Dawn is here, and I must sleep soon. What about me? You're human. You don't need to fear sunlight. He gestured to the bed. Sleep if you can. When night falls, we begin your education. Mina looked at the bat's small corpse, still lying where it had fallen. What have I become? Arcturus didn't answer. He was already absorbed in one of the ancient journals, his fingers tracing faded text. Mina was alone with her curse, in a crypt beneath the earth, protected by a monster. And somehow, she'd never felt more trapped. Mina didn't sleep. How could she, knowing that her mere existence was a death sentence for anything nearby? She sat on the edge of the crumbling bed, staring at the bat's corpse until Arcturus finally stirred hours later. Vampires didn't sleep like humans, she learned. They simply
Stopped.
like statues frozen in time. When sunset came, Arcturus blinked once and was fully awake, as if no time had passed at all. We're moving, he announced. This crypt is secure, but you need space. Room to test your limits. Test my limits? Mina's stomach dropped. You mean kill more things? Would you prefer to remain ignorant of your own curse? He gathered his coat, retrieved from a different, sturdier chair. Knowledge is survival, Miss Cross. The more we understand your condition, the better chance we have of controlling it. They emerged from the tunnel into twilight. The forest looked different at dusk, softer, less threatening. Arcturus led her through paths that seemed to exist only for him, winding between ancient trees until they reached a clearing. An abandoned village sprawled before them, reclaimed by nature. Wooden houses with collapsed roofs. A church with a broken steeple. Wells choked with vines. It looked like everyone had simply walked away one day and never returned. What happened here?
Mina vispred.
Plague. 80 years ago, Arcturus walked down what had once been the main street. The survivors burned the bodies and fled. No one's returned since. Superstition, he gestured broadly. It's perfect for our purposes. Isolated. Forgotten. And far enough from human settlements that your hunters won't stumble upon us. He chose the sturdiest building, an old inn with most of its roof intact, and kicked open the door. Inside smelled of rot and abandonment, but the main room was still recognizable. Tables.
A bar.
A fireplace clogged with bird nests. Home sweet home, Arcturus said dryly. Over the next hour, they made the space livable. Arcturus had inhuman strength. He cleared debris like it weighed nothing. Mina found intact furniture in other buildings and dragged it back. By the time full darkness fell, they had a functional space, rough but sheltered. Arcturus built a fire.
Mina vart surprised.
Vampires aren't harmed by fire, he explained, seeing her expression. That's human superstition. We simply don't need warmth, he glanced at her. But you do. The small kindness caught her off guard. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, he settled into a chair across from her, his face grave in the firelight. We need to discuss realities, Miss Cross. You've stumbled into a world that operates by different rules than the one you knew. You mean the world where I don't randomly kill things just by dying? Precisely, his fingers steepled. Here's the truth. Humans will hunt you. Not just the guards from Harrington Manor. They'll report what they saw to their superiors. Word will spread. And when powerful men learn there's a girl who cannot die, who transfers death to others, they'll want you. For what? War. The word hung heavy in the air. Imagine a soldier who cannot be killed in battle. Every enemy who strikes you down dies instead. You could walk through an army and leave corpses in your wake. Mina felt cold despite the fire. I would never. They won't give you a choice. They'll chain you, drug you, put you on the front lines and force you to die over and over, killing dozens, hundreds with each death. His voice hardened. Humans are exceptionally creative when it comes to weaponizing the helpless. And vampires? Mina asked quietly. What would vampires do with me? Arcturus's smile was thin. The same, but with less pretense of morality. My kind lost a great war 200 years ago. That's why I was sealed in that tomb. The human alliance defeated us and imprisoned our leaders. Many of my kind would kill to regain that power. He leaned forward. You, Miss Cross, could shift the balance. One cursed girl could restart a war that's been quiet for 2 centuries. The weight of it crushed down on her. So I'm trapped. Hunted by everyone. Safe nowhere. Not nowhere. Arcturus stood and moved to the window, looking out at the ruined village. I can protect you. My power is diminished from centuries of sleep, but I'm still formidable. And I have resources. Other vampires loyal to me. Places even humans fear to tread. Why would you do that? Mina stood too, suspicion flickering. What do you get out of protecting me? He turned, and his amber eyes caught the firelight. Honestly, I'm still deciding. You're an anomaly. A puzzle. I haven't been genuinely intrigued in decades. His expression shifted to something harder. But I won't lie to you, Mina. If I protect you, you belong to me. You obey me. And if I discover a way to use your curse for my own purposes, you'll use me just like the humans would. Perhaps he didn't look away. Or perhaps I'll find a way to break your curse entirely. Free you from this burden. I have centuries of knowledge about death magic. If anyone can unravel what's been done to you, it's me. And if you can't, then we'll learn to control it instead. He moved closer, his presence overwhelming in the small space. But here's what you need to understand. Your survival now costs me. Every moment I spend protecting you is a moment I'm not rebuilding my power, not reclaiming what was taken from me. Every enemy who comes for you, I must face. Every death your curse causes, I must witness. So, I'm a burden. You're an investment. His smile was sharp. And I always collect on my investments. Mina wanted to argue, to refuse to run. But where would she go? Back to New Haven, where they'd burn her. Into the wilderness alone, where she'd die of starvation and kill whatever creature happened to be nearby. She was trapped in a cage made of her own curse. I don't want to be a weapon, she said quietly. Then don't be. Arcturus returned to his chair. Help me understand your curse. Learn to control it. Become more than what was done to you. He paused. Or don't, and remain a victim forever. The choice, Miss Cross, is yours. But Mina knew the truth. She had no choices left at all. 200 miles away, in the marble halls of Whitmore City's High Council, Lord Marcus Harrington stood before 5 of the most powerful men in the Eastern Territories. She cannot be dead, he insisted, slamming his palm on the mahogany table. 5 of my guards saw her.
Alive.
Unharmed. Surrounded by corpses she somehow killed without touching them. Councilman Graves, a thin man with wire spectacles, studied the report in front of him. According to this, your guards claim the intruders died of injuries that match wounds found on. Nothing. broken necks appearing spontaneously, crushed chests with no weapon in sight. Precisely, Harrington leaned forward. The girl was stabbed. My head of security found blood on the floor matching the intruder's descriptions. They were hired killers. We've identified them, but the girl's body was gone. Then my men found her alive in my study. Not wounded. Not even marked. Witchcraft, muttered Councilman Drake, a heavy-set man with military decorations covering his chest. More than that, the fifth man spoke for the first time. He'd been silent throughout the discussion, sitting in shadow at the far end of the table. Now he leaned forward into the candlelight, revealing a face marked by ritual scars. I've seen this before. Once. 30 years ago, in the northern provinces. Everyone turned to him. Master Cyrus, Graves said carefully. The scarred man was the council's specialist in unusual threats, a position that combined scholar, inquisitor, and executioner. You recognize this? Death host, Cyrus said flatly. Or what legends call a death proxy. Someone cursed to never die alone. Death always claims a substitute. He pulled a leather journal from his coat. The case up north involved a farmer's son. Every time someone tried to kill him, nearby animals died instead. The phenomenon attracted attention. A vampire clan tried to capture him, use him as a shield. What happened to the boy? Harrington asked. The vampire clan succeeded. They kept him chained in their stronghold for 6 months, using him to survive attacks from rival clans. Every stake aimed at a vampire's heart struck the boy instead, and killed a prisoner in the dungeon below. Cyrus's expression was grim. Eventually, hunters raided the stronghold. They found the boy dead, finally. Apparently his curse had a limit. It burned out after approximately 200 transferred deaths. The room fell silent. 200 deaths, Drake breathed. If vampires got their hands on this girl, they already have. Harrington pulled out another document. My guards tracked her to the old Blackwell tomb in the forest. When they entered, they were attacked. Only 2 survived. They described a pale man with amber eyes. Spoke with an old accent. Moved faster than sight. Cyrus went very still. Blackwell. You know the name? Every scholar of vampire history knows it. Cyrus stood, pacing now. Arcturus Blackwell was called the Vampire King. He ruled the Eastern Territories for 2 centuries before the Great Alliance defeated him. He was sealed in a tomb, not killed. The Alliance couldn't kill him. They used binding magic, blood wards, death curses. He stopped. It should have held forever. Unless someone broke the seal, Graves said quietly. Unless, Cyrus agreed, someone bled on the tomb. Death magic recognizes death magic. A death host's blood would shatter those wards like glass. He turned to the council. Gentlemen, we have a catastrophic problem. The most dangerous vampire in recorded history has awakened, and he's bonded with a girl who cannot be killed. Together they're unstoppable, Drake finished. Harrington shook his head. She's just a maid. She doesn't understand what she is. If we can reach her before Blackwell corrupts her. Corrupts her? Cyrus laughed bitterly. Lord Harrington, Blackwell was a brilliant strategist. He's already realized exactly what she is and what she's worth. He won't let her go. Not willingly. Then we take her by force. Drake stood. We have the finest hunters in 5 territories. I'll assemble a team. No, the voice came from the head of the table, where Councilman Aldrich had been sitting silently. He was the oldest, the most powerful, the man who'd led the alliance that defeated the vampires 2 centuries ago and still lived, sustained by magic most didn't understand. Not hunters. Not yet. Your Excellency? Graves asked carefully. Blackwell is weakened from his imprisonment, but he's not helpless. Send hunters now, and he'll kill them all, feeding on them to restore his strength. Aldrich's ancient eyes gleamed. No, we need to be smarter. We need leverage. What leverage could we possibly have? Harrington demanded. The girl herself. Aldrich smiled, thin and cold. She's a servant, yes? No family, no fortune, no education. She doesn't know what she is or how to use it. Blackwell is teaching her, but she'll fear him. Fear what she's become. We offer her something he can't, which is, Cyrus asked, a cure. The room erupted. There is no cure. Death host curses are permanent. We don't even understand. Aldrich raised one hand, and silence fell. I didn't say we have a cure. I said we'll offer one. Tell her we can break her curse, restore her humanity, give her a normal life. All she has to do is leave Blackwell and come to us willingly. And if she agrees? Graves asked quietly. We can't actually cure her. No, Aldrich agreed. But we can use her. The girl is a weapon beyond price. With her, we could eliminate the remaining vampire strongholds. End the threat forever. Secure human dominance for another 1,000 years. Cyrus frowned. You want to weaponize her? Exactly what we're afraid Blackwell will do. The difference, Aldrich said coldly, is that we'll do it for humanity's protection. Blackwell will do it for conquest, he turned to Drake. Assemble your team, but not hunters. Recruiters.
Speakers.
People who can be sympathetic, persuasive. Find the girl. Offer her hope. Bring her home. And if she refuses? Drake asked. Then we send the hunters. Aldrich's expression hardened. And we bring her back in chains. Either way, gentlemen, Mina Cross belongs to the council now. She just doesn't know it yet. 3 days later, deep in the forest, Arcturus prepared for the ritual. He'd spent those days researching, pulling knowledge from memory and ancient texts he'd retrieved from hidden caches. Mina had watched him work with growing unease, the way he muttered in languages she didn't recognize, the way his eyes gleamed when he found relevant passages. Now they stood in a clearing under a moonless sky. Arcturus had drawn symbols in the dirt, complex geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. Candles marked each point of a 7-sided star. This ritual, he explained, lighting the final candle, is called the soul severance. It was developed by a witch 3 centuries ago to break blood curses. He glanced at Mina. In theory, it should isolate your soul from the death transfer mechanism, separate you from the curse without killing you. In theory. Mina's voice was small. Magic is rarely precise. He gestured for her to stand in the center of the pattern. But I've performed similar rituals. The risk is minimal. Mina stepped into the circle, her heart hammering. What do I do? Nothing. Simply stand still and don't break the circle. No matter what happens, Arcturus took his position outside the pattern, a silver knife in his hand. The ritual requires blood, mine, to anchor it, and yours, to identify the curse. He drew the blade across his palm. Dark blood, almost black, dripped onto the symbols. They began to glow with sickly green light. Your turn, he said. Mina extended her hand. Arcturus cut her palm quickly, efficiently. Her blood joined his on the ground, and the glow intensified, spreading through the entire pattern like veins of fire. Arcturus began to chant. The words were harsh, guttural, making the air vibrate. The candle flames stretched upward impossibly tall. Wind whipped through the clearing despite the still night. Mina felt something tugging at her chest, not painful, but deeply wrong, like someone pulling at her ribs from the inside. The symbols blazed brighter. The tugging sensation increased. Mina gasped, stumbling, but forced herself to stay in the circle. It's working, Arcturus shouted over the rising wind. I can see the curse. It's wrapped around your soul like chains. I'm going to. The light exploded. Mina screamed as agony tore through her. It felt like her soul was being ripped apart, like every piece of her was being pulled in different directions. She collapsed to her knees, hands clutching her chest. Then, abruptly, the pain stopped. The light faded. The wind died. The symbols went dark. Mina looked up, gasping. Did it work? Arcturus stood frozen, staring at his hands. His expression was one of pure horror. No, he whispered. No, this isn't. He staggered suddenly, clutching his chest. His eyes went wide. What's wrong? Mina scrambled to her feet. Arcturus? The ritual, he gasped. It didn't break the curse. It transferred it. He looked at her, and she saw fear in those amber eyes for the first time. Mina, we're connected now. Soul to soul. If you die, I die. If I die, you die. The death transfer, it includes both of us now. What? Mina's blood turned to ice. That's impossible, you said. I was wrong. He sank to his knees, breathing hard despite not needing air. The curse didn't want to break. It wanted to spread. It saw my soul linked to yours through the ritual and latched onto me like a parasite. He laughed bitterly. We're bound.
Permanently.
Mina felt like the ground had dropped away. Can we undo it? I don't know. Maybe. But right now, he stood shakily. Right now, your survival is literally tied to mine. If hunters kill me, you die instantly. If you're killed, so am I. But my curse, if I die, something else dies instead. And now I'm included in that else. Arcturus finished grimly. If you're fatally wounded, death might claim me instead of a random creature. Or it might claim both of us. The magic is unstable, merged, unpredictable. He met her eyes. Mina, I was trying to free you. Instead, I've chained us together. The implications crashed over her. You're saying I'm a danger to you now. Every moment you're near me, every moment we exist, we endanger each other. He ran his hands through his hair, a very human gesture of frustration. This is unprecedented. I've never heard of a death curse binding two souls together like this. Mina felt tears burning her eyes. I'm so sorry. This is my fault. If I hadn't disturbed your tomb. Stop, his voice was sharp but not unkind. This isn't about fault. It's about survival now. We need to. He froze, head snapping toward the forest. What is it?
Mina vispred.
Horses. At least a dozen, his expression hardened. Your hunters have found us. Fear spiked through her.
How?
Does it matter? He moved to the edge of the clearing, eyes scanning the darkness. They're coming from the north. Moving carefully. They know something dangerous is here. What do we do? Run, he grabbed her hand. There's an old mining cave system 3 miles east. If we can reach it. Drop your weapons and step into the light, a voice shouted from the trees. We know you're here, Arcturus Blackwell. And we know you have the girl. Arcturus's grip on her hand tightened. Stay behind me, he murmured. Do not run.
Do not speak.
Let me handle this. Torches appeared between the trees, forming a circle around the clearing. Not just hunters, Mina recognized the uniforms.
Council guards.
Elite soldiers. At least 20 of them, all armed with crossbows, swords, and expressions of grim determination. A man stepped forward, older, with ritual scars marking his face. Arcturus Blackwell, he said calmly. I am Master Cyrus of the High Council. We're not here to fight you. Then why the army? Arcturus's voice was cold. Insurance. Cyrus's gaze shifted to Mina. We're here for the girl.
We know what she is.
And we know you can't protect her forever. She's under my protection. That makes her untouchable. Is she? Cyrus smiled thinly. Tell me, does she know what you're planning? Does she know that a creature like her could help you reclaim your empire? Restart the war you lost. He addressed Mina directly. Miss Cross, we can help you. We can break your curse. Return you to normal life. All you have to do is come with us. Willingly. Mina's heart hammered. They were offering her everything she wanted. Freedom from the curse, a normal life, escape from this nightmare. But she looked at Arcturus, saw the tension in his shoulders, and realized the horrible truth. If she went with them, he died.
Their souls were bound now.
She couldn't leave him even if she wanted to. She was trapped with a vampire who might use her. And he was trapped with a cursed girl who might kill him. I'm not going anywhere, Mina said quietly. Cyrus's expression hardened. Then you've chosen your fate. Men take them both. They escaped the clearing, but barely. Arcturus had moved like a storm, disarming 3 guards, killing 2, creating enough chaos for them to flee into the forest. But he'd been wounded. A crossbow bolt had grazed his shoulder, And though he'd snapped it off without flinching, Mina could smell the blood. They ran for 2 days, barely stopping. Arcturus knew the old paths, the forgotten routes that hadn't been traveled in centuries. But the hunters were relentless, always half a day behind, tracking them with dogs and magic Mina didn't understand. On the 3rd evening, they reached Rivercross Bridge, an ancient stone structure spanning a ravine where a river churned 100 feet below. It was the only crossing for 20 miles in either direction. "We have to cross," Arcturus said, breathing hard. Vampires didn't tire like humans, but he pushed himself to his limits, keeping them ahead of their pursuers. The wound on his shoulder had stopped bleeding but hadn't healed. "Once we're across, I can collapse the bridge. Buy us time." Mina nodded, too exhausted to speak. They started across. They were halfway when the hunters emerged from both sides. "Clever," Arcturus muttered, stopping. "They split their force. Drove us exactly where they wanted us." Mina's heart sank. Guards blocked both ends of the bridge, at least 8 on each side. Master Cyrus stood among them, flanked by men carrying strange silver weapons that gleamed with enchantments. "End of the road, Blackwell," Cyrus called. "Surrender the girl, and you can walk away. We have no quarrel with you, if you release her." "Liars," Arcturus said quietly. "They'll kill me the moment I'm separated from you." "Can't risk me finding another death host." "Louder," he called back. "She stays with me? Then you both die here." Cyrus raised his hand. The guards advanced from both sides, weapons ready. Arcturus pushed Mina behind him. "Stay close. When I tell you to run, you jump off the bridge."
What?
"That's a 100-foot drop into water. You'll survive. I'll be right behind you." His eyes never left the approaching guards. "It's our only chance." "You're wounded," Mina whispered. "You can barely stand." "I'm a vampire. I've survived worse," but his voice lacked conviction. The first guard lunged. Arcturus caught his sword arm and threw him off the bridge. The man's scream faded into the roar of the river below. 2 more attacked simultaneously. Arcturus moved like liquid shadow, impossibly fast despite his injury, but Mina could see him slowing. Each movement cost him. A crossbow bolt flew past his head. Another buried itself in his leg. Arcturus staggered, dropping to one knee.
No. Mina screamed.
3 guards rushed forward, sensing victory. One raised a silver blade, enchanted, meant to kill vampires permanently. The blade came down toward Arcturus's exposed neck. Mina didn't think. She grabbed a fallen sword from the ground and drove it into her own stomach. The world exploded in agony. She felt the blade pierce through her, felt her organs rupture, felt herself dying. Then the pain vanished. She gasped, looking down.
No wound.
The sword clattered to the stones, wet with blood that wasn't there anymore. The guard with the silver blade collapsed mid-swing, his own blade buried in his stomach. He fell, dead before he hit the ground.
His death.
Her wound. Transferred. The bridge went silent. Everyone stared at Mina. The guards, Cyrus, even Arcturus from where he'd fallen. She stood there, shaking, covered in blood that had already disappeared. "She used it," one guard whispered. "She used the curse on purpose." "I didn't want to," Mina said, her voice breaking. "But you were going to kill him." "I couldn't." She looked at Arcturus, at his stunned expression. "We're bound. If you die, I die. I had to." "You controlled it," Arcturus breathed. "You directed the death transfer." "Mina, do you understand what that means?"
She did.
It meant the curse didn't just react to her death. It could be wielded, weaponized. Exactly what everyone feared. Cyrus's expression had changed from confidence to calculation. "Men, fall back. Regroup at the eastern end." "Sir," one guard protested. "That's an order." Cyrus snapped. "We need a new strategy."
Now.
The guards retreated, dragging their wounded. In moments, the bridge was empty except for Mina, Arcturus, and the dead guard. Arcturus pulled himself upright, yanking the bolt from his leg with a grunt. That was either very brave or very stupid. Both, probably. Mina was shaking, adrenaline crashing through her. Did that guard die because I stabbed myself? Yes, he limped toward her. You initiated your own death, and the curse claimed him as substitute. That's unprecedented. Death hosts aren't supposed to have that level of control. He gripped her shoulders, his amber eyes intense. Mina, if you can trigger the curse at will, if you can direct who it takes. I become exactly what they think I am, she whispered. A weapon, or a shield, or a tool for survival, he released her. But yes, also a weapon. One that just saved my life. Mina looked at her hands, still trembling. She'd killed that man. Deliberately. She'd stabbed herself knowing someone else would die in her place. The memory of it made her sick. I didn't want to kill him, she said quietly. I know, Arcturus's voice was surprisingly gentle. But you did. And you'll have to live with that. Will there be more? More deaths because of me. He didn't answer immediately. When he did, his voice was grave.
Yes.
As long as you exist, as long as this curse binds you, there will be more deaths. The only question is whether you control them or they control you. Mina looked down at the dead guard, at the blood pooling beneath him. Blood that should have been hers. She'd crossed a line tonight. Used her curse as a weapon. Become the thing everyone feared. And the worst part, she'd do it again if it meant surviving. We need to move, Arcturus said, pulling her from her thoughts. They'll be back with reinforcements. Probably magic users this time, now that they know what you can do. Where do we go? He smiled grimly. Somewhere they won't follow. Somewhere even I don't want to go. He started toward the western end of the bridge. There's an alchemist. Lives in the marshlands. She studies death magic, has for 50 years. If anyone knows how to break our bond, how to free you from this curse, it's her. And if she can't... Arcturus looked back at her, his expression unreadable. Then we learn to live as weapons, Mina. Together. They left the bridge as the sun set, leaving the dead behind. But Mina knew the truth. The dead would follow them wherever they went. The marshlands were 3 days' journey, but they couldn't make it in one stretch. Arcturus's wounds had weakened him more than he'd admitted. By the second night, he was struggling to walk. They found shelter in a cave halfway up a mountain, little more than a crack in the rock, but it was hidden and defensible. Mina built a small fire, while Arcturus collapsed against the cave wall, breathing raggedly. You need blood, Mina said. It wasn't a question. She'd seen him growing paler, slower. Whatever sustained vampires, he was running out. I'll hunt tomorrow night, his voice was strained. There are deer in these mountains. Animal blood isn't enough. You told me that yourself. She moved closer. You need human blood to heal properly. His eyes met hers, sharp despite his exhaustion. Are you offering? Would it help?
Yes.
But I won't take it, he looked away. We're bound, Mina. If I drain you too much and you die, we both die. It's too risky. Then we wait, she settled across from him.
Rest.
We'll figure it out tomorrow. But sleep wouldn't come. Mina stared at the fire, replaying the bridge in her mind. The guard's face as he died. The feeling of the sword in her own stomach. The terrible realization that she could kill with nothing but her own death. Hours passed. The fire burned low. She should have been exhausted, but her mind wouldn't quiet. That's when she heard it. Arcturus's voice, low and measured, speaking to someone who wasn't there. Mina crept to the cave entrance and peered around the corner. Arcturus sat in shadow, a small mirror in his hands. In the reflection, she could see another face, a vampire, pale and elegant, with silver hair. Telling you, Theron, the girl is extraordinary, Arcturus was saying. A true death host. I've tested her. She can trigger the curse at will, direct the deaths. And the ritual? The other vampire's voice echoed thinly from the mirror. You said you'd break the curse. The ritual failed. We're bound now, her life to mine. But that's not necessarily a disadvantage. Arcturus leaned forward. Think about it. With her power and my strategy, we could eliminate every vampire hunter in the territories. I could reclaim my throne. Rebuild the empire. Mina's blood turned cold. You want to use her as a weapon, Theron said carefully. The council will never allow. The council is weak. They've grown complacent in their victory. Arcturus's voice hardened with something Mina had never heard before: ambition. Hunger. 200 years, Theron. 200 years sealed in darkness, while humans spread across our lands. I wake to find our kind scattered, hiding in shadows, reduced to feeding on animals like common beasts. We lost the war, Arcturus. Fairly. We lost because we fought honorably. Arcturus stood, pacing in the small space. But with a death host, there's no honor needed. She walks into a human stronghold. We kill her repeatedly, and everyone around her dies. Their armies, their councils, their kings, all dead in hours. Then we rebuild. Properly this time. And the girl? She'll agree to this. Arcturus laughed, cold and bitter. She's a servant who's never made a real choice in her life. She's terrified, desperate, completely dependent on me. I'll convince her it's survival. Self-defense. By the time she realizes what she's become, it'll be too late. Silence from the mirror. Then, you're playing with fire, old friend. Fire is only dangerous if you can't control it. Arcturus's smile was sharp in the reflected light. Find the others. Tell them the Vampire King is returning. And this time, we won't lose. The mirror went dark. Mina pressed herself against the cave wall, her heart hammering so loud she was certain he'd hear it. She'd trusted him, believed he wanted to help her. But he'd been planning this from the start, using her curse, using her to restart a war. She couldn't stay. She had to run, had to. You can come out, Mina. She froze. I can't hear your heartbeat, Arcturus said calmly. It increased exactly when Theron and I started discussing strategy. How much did you hear? No point in lying. Mina stepped into view. Enough. He studied her, expression unreadable. You're afraid. You're going to use me. Turn me into exactly what I said I'd never be, a weapon for mass murder. Not murder.
Va.
There's a difference. Not to the people who die. Her voice cracked. You said you'd help me break the curse.
You said you'd protect me.
But you're just like the council. You want to use me for your own agenda. Of course I do. He didn't even have the grace to look ashamed. Mina, I'm a vampire king who's been imprisoned for 2 centuries. Did you really think I'd help you out of kindness? Out of curiosity. He moved closer, and she saw the predator beneath the gentleman's mask. You're a tool. An incredibly valuable, powerful tool. And I'd be a fool not to use you. I won't do it. Mina backed toward the cave entrance. I won't help you kill thousands of people. You already killed one. On that bridge. You stabbed yourself knowing exactly what would happen. His words cut like knives. How is killing 1 guard different from killing 100? 1,000? They're all threats. They all want to capture you, chain you, use you. I'm offering you the chance to eliminate those threats permanently. By becoming a monster. You're already a monster, Mina. His voice rose, echoing off stone. Your very existence kills. You cannot die without taking another life. That's what you are. That's what you'll always be. The only question is whether you accept it or spend your life pretending you're still human. Tears burned her eyes. I won't help you. Then you'll die. We're bound, remember? You can't survive without me. Can't hide without my protection. Can't escape your hunters without my power. He tilted his head. And I won't help you anymore unless you help me. Simple transaction. Mina felt the trap close around her. He was right. She couldn't survive alone. But if she stayed, she'd become his weapon. His tool for conquest. There has to be another way, she whispered. There isn't. Arcturus returned to his spot against the wall. Sleep on it. We'll discuss terms in the morning. But Mina didn't sleep. She sat by the dying fire, watching him, and made a decision. She'd find the alchemist herself. Break the curse alone. Free herself from Arcturus before he could turn her into the monster he wanted. Even if it killed her. Even if it killed them both. Mina left at dawn while Arcturus slept. She took nothing but a stolen cloak and the directions he'd muttered in his sleep. Marshlands, Eastern Edge, stone cottage marked with alchemical symbols. It was foolish, she knew. Their bond meant he could probably sense her location. But she had to try. The marshlands were worse than she'd imagined. Thick fog obscured everything beyond 10 feet. The ground sucked at her boots with each step. Strange sounds echoed through the mist, splashing, hissing, calls that sounded almost human. She was lost within an hour. By midday, she was ready to give up. Then she saw it, a structure materializing from the fog. A stone cottage perched on the only solid ground for miles, covered in carved symbols that seemed to shift when she wasn't looking directly at them. Mina approached the door and knocked. "Go away," a woman's voice shouted from inside. "I don't take visitors, customers, or converts."
Please.
"I need help with a curse." "Everyone has curses. Go to a priest." "I'm a death host." Silence. Then the door flew open. The woman was ancient, her face a map of wrinkles, her eyes clouded with cataracts. But those eyes focused on Mina with unnerving precision. "Inside.
Quickly.
Before something smells your curse and comes looking." The cottage interior was chaos. Shelves crammed with jars of specimens, books stacked floor to ceiling, tables covered in bubbling alchemical equipment. It smelled of herbs, chemicals, and something darker underneath. The alchemist, she introduced herself as Dr. Eleanor Voss, circled Mina like a predator studying prey. "Death host," she muttered. "Haven't seen one in 30 years. Didn't think any bloodline survived." She grabbed Mina's wrist, examining her palm. "Show me your death mark." "My what?" "The place where the curse anchors to your soul. Usually chest or throat." Eleanor pulled Mina's collar aside without asking permission. Her fingers traced Mina's collarbone, and suddenly Mina felt heat, like invisible fire burning just beneath her skin. "There," Eleanor breathed. Faint, but present. "Old magic. Very old." She released Mina and moved to a bookshelf, pulling down a leather tome. Death host curses originated in the Blackwater dynasty. 400 years ago. Royal family. Royal.
Mina started.
"I'm not royal. I'm a servant."
Now, yes.
"But blood doesn't lie." Eleanor flipped through pages covered in diagrams and faded text. The Blackwater kings used death magic to protect themselves. They bound their servants' souls to act as shields. Whenever the king was attacked, a servant died instead. Kept the monarchy safe for generations. "That's horrible," Mina whispered. "That's power." Eleanor found her page and tapped it. But the magic backfired. Some servants developed their own death transferability, self-defense mechanism. When they died, death claimed their masters instead. The whole dynasty collapsed in a single night. 50 royals dead, killed by their own protection spells. Mina felt sick. "So, I'm descended from those servants. Must be. The curse lies dormant for generations, then triggers under extreme stress. You died, the curse activated, and now you're stuck with it." Eleanor snapped the book shut. "Unless we break it." "You can break it?" Hope surged in Mina's chest. "I didn't say that. I said, unless breaking a death curse is nearly impossible. They're designed to be permanent." Eleanor returned to her cluttered desk. "But there is one way. The curse is tied to the bloodline that created it. Kill the last living descendant of the Blackwater dynasty, and the curse dies with them." "But you said the dynasty collapsed 400 years ago." "The direct royal line, yes. But bastards survived. Side branches. Descendants who took new names, integrated into other families." Eleanor pulled out a different book, this one newer, filled with genealogical charts. "I've tracked Blackwater blood for decades. Hobby of mine. And, according to my research, there's one direct descendant left." She turned the book to face Mina. The name at the bottom of the family tree made Mina's blood freeze. King Richard Harrington III.
No, Mina breathed.
"That can't be right. Lord Harrington, I worked for him." "Not Lord. King." Eleanor tapped the entry. "Richard Harrington is the current ruler of the Eastern Territories." His family changed their name 3 generations ago to distance themselves from the Blackwater scandal, but the blood is pure. He's the last direct male heir. She looked at Mina gravely. Kill him, and your curse ends. Mina sank into a chair, her mind reeling. King Harrington. The man whose manor she'd cleaned for 3 years. The man whose guards had chased her into the forest. He was the source of her curse. His ancestor had created it, and his bloodline sustained it. I can't kill a king, she said weakly. Then you stay cursed forever. Eleanor began mixing something in a vial. Or, until you die permanently, which will happen eventually. Death host curses burn out after a few hundred transferred deaths. You'll just be a walking catastrophe until then. There has to be another way. The cottage door exploded inward. Arcturus stood in the doorway, eyes blazing with fury. Did you really think you could run from me? We're bound, Mina. I feel every step you take. Eleanor moved with surprising speed, placing herself between them. Arcturus, Blackwell. I'd heard you'd awakened. Leave the girl alone. The girl is mine, Eleanor. By bond and by right, he stepped inside, and the temperature dropped. We made a deal. A deal you planned to betray.
Mina stod, fists clenched.
You want to use me as a weapon? Turn me into a monster. You already are a monster. Arcturus's voice cracked like thunder. And now you've learned the truth. To break your curse, you have to commit regicide. Kill a king and plunge the territories into chaos, he smiled coldly. Tell me, Mina, how is that different from what I wanted? Either way, you become a killer. Either way, you cause death and destruction. It's different because Mina faltered. He was right. Killing King Harrington would destabilize the entire region. Succession wars, political chaos, possibly even the vampire resurgence Arcturus wanted. Because it's your choice instead of mine? Arcturus finished. How noble. Eleanor cleared her throat. There's one more thing you should know, girl. King Harrington isn't just the last Blackwater heir. He's also the one who ordered the council to capture you. Mina's head snapped up. What? I have sources. Eleanor pulled out a sealed letter. This arrived yesterday. The king wants you alive. Not to help you, to weaponize you. He's discovered what you are, traced the curse back to his own bloodline, and decided to use you to eliminate his political enemies. He's the one who sent Master Cyrus. He's the one hunting you. So the choice is simple, Arcturus said quietly. Help me restart the vampire empire, or kill the king who created your curse and wants to enslave you. Either way, Mina, you're not escaping this as an innocent. Mina looked between them, the vampire who wanted to use her, the alchemist who'd given her terrible truth. I need time to think, she whispered. Time is the one thing we don't have, Arcturus replied. The council knows where we are. They'll be here by nightfall. He was right. Mina could hear it now, distant sounds of movement through the marsh. Horses. Men. Hunters closing in. Then we run, she said. Or, Arcturus's eyes gleamed, we go to the source. Confront King Harrington directly. End this once and for all. You mean kill him? I mean give you a choice, Arcturus extended his hand. Come with me to the capital. Face your creator. And decide for yourself what kind of monster you want to be. Mina stared at his hand. Behind him, through the shattered door, she could see torches in the fog. She took his hand. Let's end this. They didn't go to the palace. Not directly. Arcturus had connections. Vampires who'd survived the war, who'd hidden in human society for centuries. One of them, a woman named Cassandra who worked as a seamstress in the capital, smuggled them into the city through underground tunnels that predated the current monarchy. The king is paranoid, Cassandra explained as she led them through darkness, lit only by her vampiric vision. Ever since he learned about the Death Host, he's tripled his guards. Locked himself in the council citadel, that's where he conducts his war planning now, not the palace. How do you know this? Mina asked. I make clothes for councilmen's wives. Women talk, Cassandra smiled, showing no fangs. They think servants don't listen. They emerged in a basement beneath a tavern 3 blocks from the citadel. Cassandra provided Mina with a servant's uniform, Plain gray dress, white apron, forgettable.
You'll blend in, she said.
The Citadel employs hundreds of servants. No one notices them. And me? Arcturus asked. You stay hidden until nightfall. Then you come through the east entrance. I'll arrange a distraction. Cassandra handed him a map. But Arcturus? If this goes wrong, the humans will retaliate against all of us. Every vampire in the city. It won't go wrong, he said with confidence Mina didn't feel. An hour later, Mina walked through the Citadel's servant entrance with a group of laundry maids. Her heart hammered, but no one looked twice. Just another servant, invisible by design. Inside, the Citadel was a maze of marble corridors and guarded chambers. Mina followed the other servants, learning the layout. Council chambers on the second floor. Private quarters on the third. And at the very top, the war room, where King Harrington conducted his most secret meetings. That's where she needed to go. She waited until the evening shift change, when guards rotated and attention lapsed. Then she slipped away from the laundry detail and climbed a servant staircase that wound through the building's interior. At the fourth floor, she encountered her first real obstacle. 2 guards posted outside an ornate door. Mina's curse whispered in the back of her mind. I could die. They would die. Simple. The thought made her sick. But she pushed past them, head down, carrying folded linens like she belonged there. Hey, one guard called. This floor is restricted. Head housekeeper sent me, Mina said without stopping. King wants fresh sheets in the war room. The guards exchanged glances. Mina kept walking, praying they wouldn't stop her. She heard footsteps behind her. Wait, I don't recognize you. She turned a corner and ran. Behind her, the guards shouted. Boots pounded marble. Mina's lungs burned as she sprinted up another staircase, then another, heading for the top floor by pure instinct. She burst through a door and found herself in a circular chamber lined with maps and battle plans. And standing at the center table, surrounded by 6 councilmen, was King Richard Harrington III. He looked up startled. Then his expression shifted to recognition. Mina Cross, he said quietly. The runaway maid. The guards crashed through the door behind her, weapons drawn. Harrington raised a hand, stopping them. Leave us, he commanded. Your Majesty, she's dangerous. I said leave, his voice carried absolute authority. All of you. I'll speak with Miss Cross alone. The councilman protested, but Harrington was firm. Slowly, reluctantly, they filed out. The guards remained outside the closed door. Mina and the king faced each other across the table covered in war plans. He was younger than she'd expected, perhaps 40, with graying hair and intelligent eyes. He looked tired, burdened. You've caused quite a commotion, Harrington said conversationally. Dead intruders. Escaped hunters. And now you've allied with Arcturus Blackwell, the most dangerous vampire in recorded history. He poured 2 glasses of wine, slid one toward her. Why did you come here, Mina? To kill you, she said honestly. He didn't flinch. Because Eleanor Voss told you I'm the blood heir. That killing me breaks your curse. You know about the curse. About what I am, it wasn't a question. I've known for 3 years, he took a sip of wine. I've known since the day you started working in my manor. My advisors identified you from genealogical records. A servant descended from Blackwater blood, carrying dormant curse markers. I kept you close, waiting to see if the curse would activate. Mina felt cold. You've been watching me for 3 years? Studying you. The curse is my inheritance, Mina. My ancestor created it, and I've spent my life researching it. When those intruders attacked you, that wasn't random. I sent them. I needed to trigger your curse, to see if the old magic still worked. You had me murdered as an experiment? Rage bubbled up in her chest. I had you awakened. There's a difference, he moved around the table toward her. Mina, do you understand what you represent? The Blackwater curse was designed to protect the throne. With you, I could eliminate every threat to the kingdom. Vampire insurgents, rebel factions, foreign invaders. We could have peace. By killing hundreds of people using my curse. By ending wars before they start, his voice intensified. I've seen battlefields, Mina. Thousands dead. Families destroyed. Cities burned. If one cursed girl can prevent that, if your existence can create lasting peace, isn't that worth it? You're asking me to become a weapon. Just like Arcturus. I'm asking you to become a solution. Harrington gripped her shoulders, urgent. Work with me. Together, we can use your curse strategically.
Precisely.
And the vampire threat forever. Bring stability to the territories. Give people the safety they deserve. Mina pulled away. And what happens to me? You be protected.
Honored.
Given every comfort.
Chained, she finished.
Kept in a gilded cage, forced to die over and over while people around me drop dead. That's not peace. That's slavery. It's sacrifice, his expression hardened. Sometimes one person must carry the burden for the greater good. Then carry it yourself. Mina's voice cracked. You're the blood heir. The curse comes from your family. Why should I suffer for magic your ancestors created? Because I'm trying to fix their mistakes. Harrington slammed his hand on the table. The Blackwater dynasty fell because they abused their power. I want to use yours responsibly. With consent. With. The window exploded. Arcturus landed in the chamber in a shower of glass, his eyes blazing amber. You've heard enough pretty lies, Mina. Time to go. Guards burst through the door. Arcturus moved like lightning, disarming 3 before they could react. But more flooded in, too many even for him.
Mina.
Arcturus called, engaging 4 guards simultaneously. The choice is now. Kill him and end this, or we die here together. Harrington backed toward a panic button on the wall. Guards. Secure the girl. Don't hurt her. Mina stood frozen between them. The vampire king who wanted to use her for conquest. The human king who wanted to use her for control. Both offering freedom. Both demanding obedience. Neither seeing her as anything but a weapon. Please, Harrington said, hand hovering over the alarm. Let me help you. Don't let Blackwell turn you into a monster. Arcturus snarled, snapping a guard's neck. He's the monster, Mina. He made you this way. He killed you to awaken the curse. Both truths. Both lies. Both men willing to sacrifice her for their vision of a better world. Mina looked at Harrington, the man whose ancestor had cursed her bloodline, who'd orchestrated her death, who wanted to weaponize her suffering. She looked at Arcturus, the vampire who'd protected her, bound himself to her, then planned to use her anyway. And she made her choice. No, she said quietly. Both men stared at her. No more kings. No more masters. She pulled a knife from a fallen guard's belt. I'm ending this. My way. Before either could stop her, she raised the blade to her own throat. Mina, wait. Both men shouted simultaneously. She smiled sadly. If I die, one of you dies. Maybe both. The curse is unstable, remember? You'll kill yourself? Harrington looked horrified. To be free? Mina's hand trembled, but her voice stayed steady. Yes. Arcturus's expression shifted. Understanding. Respect. You're calling their bluff. Clever girl. Put down the knife, Harrington commanded, but uncertainty flickered in his eyes. Why? Mina asked. So you can chain me? Use me? I'd rather die. Our bond. Arcturus started. I know. Mina met his eyes. If I die, you die. Are you willing to pay that price to stop me from becoming his weapon? Silence fell. The guards froze, uncertain. The room held its breath. Then Arcturus smiled, sharp and genuine. Yes, he said. I am. And Mina knew he meant it. Lower your weapons, Harrington commanded his guards. Everyone out. Now. Your Majesty. Out. The guards retreated, confusion written on their faces. The door closed, leaving only Mina, Arcturus, and the king in the war room. Outside, thunder rolled. A storm was breaking over the capital. Harrington's composure cracked. You're bluffing. You won't kill yourself. Won't I? Mina pressed the blade harder against her throat. A thin line of blood appeared. I've died twice already. I know what it feels like. It's not so frightening anymore. Mina, think. Harrington moved toward her, hands raised. If you die, the curse doesn't just claim me. You're bound to Blackwell. You'll kill him too. You'll kill everyone in this room. I know, her voice was steady despite the knife shaking in her grip. Maybe that's the only way to end this.
No kings.
No curse girls. Just peace. That's not peace, Arcturus said quietly. That's nihilism. Is it? Mina looked at him. You've lived centuries, Arcturus. You've seen empires rise and fall. Does it ever really change? Or do powerful men just keep using the weak until someone stops them? He had no answer. Lightning flashed, illuminating the room in stark white. Thunder followed immediately. The storm was directly overhead. There's another option, Harrington said desperately. I can abdicate. Pass the crown to my nephew. The bloodline continues, but I'm no longer king. You don't have to kill me. The curse doesn't care about crowns, Arcturus interjected. It's tied to blood. As long as he lives, her curse remains. Then I'll help you hide, Harrington pressed. Resources, protection, whatever you need. So, I can be your secret weapon later?
Mina låghet bitterli. No.
I'm done being used. The king's expression shifted from desperation to anger.
Fine.
You want the truth? If you kill me, you doom thousands. My nephew is weak. He'll lose control of the council within months. The territories will fracture. Warlords will rise. Vampires will sense the weakness and strike. He pointed at Arcturus. His kind will reclaim what they lost, and humans will suffer under vampire rule for another 1,000 years. Or, Arcturus countered, humans will finally learn that peace through tyranny isn't peace at all. Your precious stability is built on the backs of people like Mina, cursed, controlled, sacrificed for the greater good. Maybe it deserves to fall. You're advocating for chaos, Harrington shouted. I'm advocating for honesty. Arcturus moved closer to Mina, careful not to startle her. The girl has been a pawn her entire life. Born to a bloodline cursed by her ancestors. Worked as a servant in your manor while you studied her like a specimen. Murdered on your orders to activate her curse. And now you demand she sacrifice herself again for your vision of order. He shook his head. You're no better than the Blackwater Kings who created this mess. And you are? Harrington spat. You're planning to use her curse to restart a vampire empire. You're worse than. I changed my mind, Arcturus said. Both Mina and Harrington stared. What?
Mina vispred.
Arcturus turned to her fully, his amber eyes intense. I've spent these past days watching you, Mina. Watching you struggle with what you've become. The guilt over the deaths. The fear of your own power. The desperate desire to remain human despite everything trying to turn you into a monster. He smiled sadly. You remind me of who I was before centuries of war turned me into this. Before I forgot what it meant to choose mercy over power. You're lying, Harrington said flatly. This is manipulation. Probably, Arcturus agreed. I'm a vampire. Manipulation is what we do. But I'm also bound to her. Her death is my death. And I've realized, he paused, seeming to search for words. I've realized I'd rather die with her than force her to live as a weapon. Even if that weapon could give me back my empire. Mina's hand trembled. You'd really let me kill us both. If that's what you choose, he moved even closer, slowly reaching up to touch her hand, the one holding the knife. I've lived 300 years, Mina. I've conquered kingdoms and ruled nations. But I've never been free, not really. I've always been chained by ambition, by hunger, by the endless need for power and blood and control. His fingers closed gently over hers. Maybe dying with someone who still has the courage to choose freedom. Maybe that's not such a bad ending. Tears blurred Mina's vision. I don't want to die. I know. And I don't want to kill anyone else. I know that too. So what do I do? The knife wavered. How do I escape this? There's no way out that doesn't end in death. Mine, yours, his, someone's. The curse won't let me just exist. Arcturus looked at her for a long moment, then at Harrington, then back to her. What if, he said slowly, there was a fourth option? One none of us have considered. What option? Harrington demanded. She kills me. The curse breaks, but the kingdom falls. She kills herself. We all die. She does nothing, and we're back where we started. She kills me instead, Arcturus said calmly. Mina's heart stopped. What? Think about it. We're bound. My death triggers yours, but your curse will transfer that death to someone nearby. If you kill me in this room, with Harrington present, your death might claim him as substitute. 2 birds, 1 stone. The curse breaks, the blood heir dies, but you survive. Might? Mina's voice rose. You're not certain? Death magic is unpredictable. But it's a possibility, he squeezed her hand gently. A better one than you stabbing yourself and hoping for the best. No, Mina pulled away from him. I won't kill you. You've protected me. And plan to use you. Don't pretend I'm noble, Mina. I'm not, he smiled, and for the first time it looked genuinely warm. But maybe I can do one noble thing before the end. Give you a real choice. A real chance at freedom. Thunder crashed again, rattling the windows. Harrington stepped forward.
Wait.
If she kills you, and the curse claims me, that's regicide. She'll be executed. Or celebrated. Arcturus interrupted. The girl who ended the vampire king and broke her own curse? Who saved the kingdom from both threats simultaneously? You think your council won't spin that into a hero's tale? Silence fell as the implications sank in. Mina looked at the knife in her hand. At Arcturus, offering himself as sacrifice. At Harrington, pale and calculating. At the maps spread across the table, territories divided, strategies planned, endless cycles of power and control. There has to be another way, she whispered. There isn't. Both men said simultaneously. Lightning flashed. Thunder roared. And Mina made her final choice. No, Mina said, lowering the knife. You're both wrong. There is another way. She walked to the shattered window where Arcturus had entered. Rain lashed through the opening, soaking the maps on the table. Beyond, the capital city sprawled below, thousands of lights, thousands of lives, all oblivious to the confrontation happening above them. I've been thinking about this wrong, she continued. We've all been thinking about it wrong. The curse transfers death to someone nearby. But what if, she turned to face them, what if I'm the one nearby when I die? Arcturus's eyes widened. Mina, that's
Impossible? Probably.
But you said the curse is unstable now that we're bound. It doesn't know which rules to follow anymore, she looked at her hands. When I killed that guard on the bridge, I directed the death. I felt the curse respond to my will. What if I can direct it to myself? You'd create a paradox, Harrington said, his voice tight. Death trying to claim the dying. The curse would break, Mina finished. Either it breaks, or I die permanently and take you both with me through the bond. Either way, this ends. That's suicide, Arcturus said flatly. That's freedom, Mina raised the knife again, but this time, she met their eyes with clarity. I won't be your weapon. I won't be your tool. I won't let you use my suffering to justify your empires, your wars, your visions of a better world built on my corpse, she smiled sadly. But I also won't let innocent people die, because of what I am. Mina, Harrington started forward. Stay back. The knife pressed against her chest, directly over her heart, over the invisible mark Eleanor had shown her, the place where the curse anchored to her soul. Both of you stay back. This is my choice. Finally. After everything, after being born into a cursed bloodline, after being studied and manipulated and hunted, this is the one thing I get to decide. Thunder rolled, but softer now. The storm was passing. If you do this, Arcturus said quietly, and it works, if you break the curse and survive, you'll kill me. Our bond ensures it. I know. Tears mixed with rain on her face.
I'm sorry.
Don't be, he smiled, and this time there was no predator in it, just a tired man who'd lived too long. I meant what I said. dying with someone who chose freedom over power. That's not a bad ending. He moved to the window, standing in the rain. For what it's worth, Mina, you would have made a terrible weapon. Too much conscience. Thank you, she whispered. Harrington's voice shook. If you kill yourself and the curse breaks, if I survive this, people will still hunt you. Fear you. You'll never have a normal life. I know that too, Mina's hand steadied on the knife. But I'll be free. Mortal. Human. That's enough. She closed her eyes, feeling the curse writhing inside her like a living thing. It had saved her twice, killed for her, twisted her existence into something monstrous. Now she would twist it one final time. Death, take me. Only me. Let it end with me. The knife plunged into her heart. Pain exploded through her chest. Real, visceral, agonizing. She felt her heart stop, felt her soul beginning to separate from her body. The curse activated immediately, reaching out desperately for a substitute, for someone to die in her place. It found Arcturus first, bound to her, vulnerable. It wrapped around his soul, ready to claim him. No, Mina thought with every fragment of her dying consciousness.
Me. Take me.
The curse hesitated, confused. It had never been denied before. Never been directed inward. I am the death host. Death is mine to command. And I command it to take me. Something broke. Not the curse, the bond. The thread connecting her to Arcturus snapped like an overstressed rope. She felt him cry out, felt his soul whip away from hers, free but wounded. The curse collapsed inward, imploding on itself. Mina felt it consuming itself in a cascade of unraveling magic. Death trying to claim death, paradox eating paradox. Then, silence. Mina gasped, her eyes flying open. She was on her knees. The knife clattered beside her. Her chest was unmarked.
No wound.
No blood. But something fundamental had changed. She could feel it, the absence where the curse had been. Like a tooth that had been rotting for years finally pulled free. The relief was staggering. It's gone, she breathed. The curse is gone. She looked up. Arcturus lay across the room, motionless. For one horrible moment, she thought she'd killed him. Then he stirred, sitting up slowly. His amber eyes had faded to pale gold. He looked diminished. Mortal. The bond broke, he said wonderingly. And when it did, it took most of my immortality with it. He examined his hands, as if seeing them for the first time. I can feel it. Age creeping back. Hunger. Fatigue. Human things, he laughed. A sound of pure astonishment. Mina, you didn't just free yourself. You freed me too. Harrington stood frozen against the wall, untouched. It worked. The curse is truly broken. Mina nodded, too exhausted to speak. The king slumped, relief and resignation warring on his face. So it ends. The last Blackwater curse, broken by the girl who carried it. He moved to the window, looking out at the city as dawn broke through the storm clouds. You realize what this means? You're proof that the old magic can be defeated, that curses can be broken. The council will want to study you. Let them try, Mina said, finding her voice. I'm done being studied. Then what will you do? Harrington asked. Mina looked at Arcturus, now aging, now mortal, now free like her. She looked at the capitals spreading below, at the dawn touching every building with gold. I'll live, she said simply. Not as a weapon, not as a tool, just live. She walked to the window, letting the morning sun warm her face. Behind her, she heard Arcturus stand, heard Harrington call for his guards to stand down. The city was waking, people emerging into a world that had changed overnight without knowing it. 2 kings had fallen, one to mortality, one to irrelevance. And a cursed girl had become just a girl again. Mina Cross walked out of the citadel alone as the sun rose. She had no home, no money, no plan. But she had something she'd never truly had before. She had herself.
And that was enough.
Years later, travelers in the Eastern Territories would speak of a quiet woman who worked as a healer in a small village. She had kind eyes and gentle hands, they said. And sometimes, late at night, she could be seen staring at the stars with an expression of profound gratitude, as if she'd been given a second chance at life and refused to waste a single moment of it. In those same territories, an aging scholar lived in a cottage near the woods. He wrote books about history and magic, about power and its costs. And when people asked about the scars on his hands, about the sadness in his faded gold eyes, he would smile and say only, "I once knew a girl who taught me that freedom is worth any price." The curse was broken. The cycle ended. And two souls, bound by death, had found their way back to life. Together, they had created something neither king could achieve, true peace, one small choice at a time.
The end.